Welcome back to our channel. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the darkest corners of the Earth, the places where the veil between our world and the spectral realm is thin, the most haunted locations on Earth. From haunted hotels to ancient prisons, we'll be investigating the history and paranormal occurrences that have plagued these sites for centuries. Join us as we journey to these spooky sites and uncover the tales of their ghostly inhabitants. But be warned, this isn't for the faint of heart. We're about to step into a world of shadows and whispers, where the dead still walk among us. Nestled high in the Colorado Rockies, the Stanley Hotel stands as a beacon of Victorian elegance and a chilling testament to the restless spirits that roam its halls. Built in 1909, this grand hotel has borne witness to countless stories, but none as chilling as those whispered in hushed tones by guests who claim to have encountered the supernatural. The Stanley's sinister reputation was cemented in 1974, when Stephen King, after a night in room 217, was inspired to pen his iconic horror novel, The Shining. The hotel, much like the Overlook in King's chilling tale, became a character itself, its labyrinthine corridors and opulent ballrooms imbued with an undeniable sense of unease. Guests have reported disembodied voices echoing through the empty halls, the ghostly laughter of children playing in the dead of night, and the unsettling feeling of being watched. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their eyes, vanishing as quickly as they appear. Room 217, the very room that sparked King's terrifying vision, remains a hotbed of paranormal activity. Guests have reported luggage being unpacked by unseen hands, lights flickering erratically, and the overwhelming sensation of an unseen presence. But the paranormal activity isn't confined to the guest rooms. The hotel's grand ballroom, once alive with music and laughter, is now said to be frequented by the spirit of Flora Stanley, the wife of the hotel's founder. Guests have reported seeing her ghostly figure gliding across the dance floor, her spectral piano music echoing through the silent night. Even the former staff of the Stanley haven't escaped the clutches of the paranormal. Housekeepers tell chilling tales of being touched, their names whispered in the darkness, and an overwhelming feeling of dread that permeates the very walls of the hotel. The Stanley Hotel isn't just a place to spend the night, it's a portal to another realm. A place where the veil between our world and the spirit world is thin, and the spirits of the past refuse to remain silent. Its imposing stone walls have witnessed centuries of history, from royal coronations to brutal executions. The Tower of London, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, stands as a silent sentinel on the banks of the River Thames, its history etched in stone and blood. But within those ancient walls, a darkness lingers, a palpable sense of dread that whispers of the countless souls who met their untimely end within its confines. For nearly 1,000 years, the tower served as a royal palace, a treasury, and most chillingly, a prison. Its dungeons have housed some of history's most infamous figures, their anguish and despair seeping into the very stones. It's no wonder, then, that the tower is considered one of the most haunted places on Earth. One of the most tragic and well-known tales is that of Anne Boleyn, the second wife of King Henry VIII. Accused of treason, adultery, and incest, Anne was imprisoned within the tower's walls before being beheaded on May 17, 1536. Her ghost, often described as a forlorn figure in a white gown, has been spotted near the Queen's house, where she spent her final days, and near the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, where she is buried. But Anne is just one of many restless spirits said to roam the tower. The ghost of Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen, is said to haunt the Tower Green, the site of her execution in 1554. Visitors and guards alike have reported seeing her spectral figure, often described as a young woman in a white gown, wandering the grounds, her face etched with sorrow. The tower's most chilling tale, however, belongs to the two young princes, Edward V and Richard of Shrewsbury, Duke of York. They were declared illegitimate heirs to the throne and imprisoned in the tower by their uncle, Richard III. The boys vanished in the summer of 1483, their fate a mystery that has haunted historians for centuries. Some believe they were murdered on Richard III's orders, their bodies buried within the tower walls. Their innocent spirits, known as the Princes in the Tower, are said to haunt the Bloody Tower, where they were last seen alive. The Tower of London isn't just a historical landmark. It's a repository of centuries of human suffering, its very stones imbued with the energy of the countless souls who lived, suffered, and died within its walls. It's a place where the past refuses to stay buried, where the echoes of history whisper through the shadows, and where the line between the living and the dead blurs in the darkness. Hidden deep within the canals of Xochimilco, near Mexico City, lies Isla de las Muñecas, the Island of Dolls. This tiny island, shrouded in local legend and enveloped in an eerie silence, is unlike any other place on Earth. Here, hundreds, if not thousands, of decaying dolls hang from trees, walls, and every available surface, their lifeless eyes staring blankly into the distance. The island's unsettling story began over 50 years ago when Don Julian Santana Barrera, the island's caretaker, made a grim discovery. He found the lifeless body of a young girl drowned in the canal, her doll floating beside her. Haunted by the tragedy, Don Julian hung the doll on a tree as a tribute to the child's spirit. But that was only the beginning. Driven by an unshakable feeling that the girl's spirit, and perhaps others, remained trapped on the island, Don Julian began populating the island with dolls. He collected discarded dolls from trash heaps and canals, hanging them everywhere, believing they would appease the spirits and protect the island from evil. As the years passed, the island transformed into a macabre spectacle, the dolls exposed to the elements, decaying into grotesque parodies of childhood toys. Their limbs twisted at unnatural angles, their paint faded and cracked, their lifeless eyes seeming to follow visitors as they navigate the island's narrow pathways. Locals whisper that the dolls themselves are possessed, their lifeless eyes harboring the spirits of the dead, their limbs moving on their own. Some claim to hear the dolls whispering to each other, their voices carried on the wind. Others report seeing the dolls' heads turning to follow them, their expressions shifting from blank stares to menacing glares. Don Julian himself met a tragic end in 2001, drowning in the same canal where he believed he'd found the young girl years earlier. Whether his death was an accident or the result of the island's dark forces remains a mystery. Today, the Island of Dolls stands as a testament to one man's descent into madness, a chilling reminder that sometimes the line between reality and delusion is blurred, and the things we seek to protect ourselves from may be the very things that haunt us in the end. These are just a few of the most haunted locations on Earth, each with its own chilling tales of the paranormal. But the world is a vast and mysterious place, filled with countless other locations where the veil between our world and the spirit world is thin. If you enjoyed this journey into the heart of darkness, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your fellow paranormal enthusiasts. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.